My evil stepmother made my dad cut ties with me, so I used her life insurance to pay off my house. I was just 12 years old when my dad cheated on my mom and married the woman he cheated with. It was the hardest time of my life. My mom didn't have a job or a house, so she didn't qualify to have custody of me. I had to live with the woman who destroyed my parents' marriage. And on top of that, she absolutely hated me. She had no tact and told my dad literally in front of me that he needs to get rid of me. She wanted to live alone in the house with just him, and I was just a nuisance. My dad refused, but sometimes I wish that he had listened to her demands, because she made my life a living hell. As soon as my dad would leave for work, she would begin tormenting me. I was made to do all the chores in the house, which included cleaning the dirty dishes and scrubbing the floor of her bedroom. And this was when I was just a small kid. When my dad would return, he would praise her for keeping the house clean and she would shamelessly take all the credit. Whenever I had a school event like a baseball game, she would make sure my dad was busy on a date with her and couldn't attend. I remember crying while watching all the other girls celebrate with their dads. I tried to talk to him about this so many times, making sure that he knew that his new wife hated me, but he didn't listen. There were days when I would stay awake at night because I could hear them arguing in the next room. And of course, they were arguing about kicking me out and sending me to my mom's. All that made me develop a psychological urge to be independent and never rely on anyone. I worked really hard in school and impressed my dad. He said that he was going to buy me a car for my 18th birthday. But guess what? He never did. Because apparently, taking his new, young wife on a vacation to Hawaii was more important than me. After witnessing all that, I knew that it wouldn't be long before I was actually kicked out of the house because I was in their way. So I began applying for colleges that were so far away that I won't have to come back. Paying for my tuition was one of the only good things my dad did for me, and I am still grateful for it. But God knows that my stepmom threw the biggest tantrum over it and he had to spoil her for months before she was back to normal. But that also spoiled his mood over me going to college. As a result, he didn't call to check up on me a single time. Thankfully, while I was there I found my now husband and rekindled my relationship with my real mom. When I was about to graduate, I desperately tried to contact my dad to ask him to show up. But once again, my stepmom didn't let him get away. After that, I practically gave up. Although I still loved him and knew that he didn't have any bad intentions in his heart, I was fed up with his inability to say no to her. He never showed up to my wedding, or even when my kids were born. But that was okay because I was living happily with my husband and my kids, in the new house that we had bought together. However, this year, when I turned 45, something amazing happened. My stepmom passed away from heart failure, and my dad contacted me after years of silence. He confessed that he knew he had neglected me during my childhood, and he deeply regretted missing a huge part of my life. He said he wanted to be there for me, but he wasn't strong enough. I told him that he was just making excuses for his wrongdoings, and he surprisingly agreed with me. He said he wanted me to come to visit him so he could apologize properly. I honestly didn't want to go. But my husband said that I should and he would accompany me. In his opinion, the worst thing that could happen is that I would get closure. So yes, I went to visit him. And the way he apologized shocked me to my core. He wanted to redeem himself and leave his fortune to my kids, as well as pay off the house my family was living in. I was very grateful and thanked him, but also asked him how he had that much money left over. Turns out that it was the payout he got from my stepmom's life insurance policy. When I left, I couldn't stop laughing. That woman had spent her entire life trying to get my dad to abandon me. And she even passed away thinking she had succeeded. But actually, her diat was actually going to help me way more than she had tormented me. So, in case you're reading this from the afterlife, you should know that you failed. My dad and I are going to fix our relationship, and I am going to be happier than you ever were.